So the Middle Ages, as we know, was definitely a time in which things were very dark. That's why they call it the Dark Ages as well. You had plague, you had famine, lots of war. It was a very tough time to live in. But as the late Middle Ages came about, things started to kind of change the tide. Lives were getting better, disease was gone, things were starting to pick up again. Technology was starting to thrive more. But you still had all these knights. You had all these knights of these different kingdoms who knew nothing other than really fighting. So they kind of took on a new purpose during the late Middle Ages. We call this event the Crusades. What you see here pictured is what we call a crusader. Basically, they wore the Christian cross on their shield and on their clothing to symbolize that they were fighting for their Christian God. So what was happening? Well, basically, down here in this area of the Mediterranean, you have places like Jerusalem. This is where the stories from the Bible, Jesus' teachings, all took place. There are lots of religiously, historically significant artifacts and sites down here in Jerusalem and the area surrounding it. So what has happened here is the areas you see in purple are Christian dominant, which is basically Europe. The areas you see, of course, in yellow are Muslim dominant. Basically what has happened is through the course of history, the Muslims were eventually able to take what we call the Holy Lands, the areas that are very important to Christians, but they're also important to Muslims as well. So during the late Middle Ages, the church, and specifically Pope Urban II, and this may sound odd to come from a church leader, basically ordered a war. He encouraged people from the different kingdoms in Europe to travel on what were called crusades. And on these crusades, it would be knights, it could be peasants, it could be lords, it could be anybody, would travel on these crusades thousands of miles with the idea that they were going to take back the Holy Lands, take back the lands that represent their religion. There are a countless number of these crusades. The number depends on which historians you ask. There's anywhere from 7 to 13 to 14 of them even. All of them with a similar result. The first crusade, which is the purple line you see up here, is the only crusade where Christians were actually able to take back temporarily the Holy Lands. They were victorious. That is the only one that was ever successful. As you see, the green line is the second crusade, and the other lines, the red and the orange, are the other crusades. In the second crusade, Muslims are able to take back the Holy Lands. And from that point forward, every single crusade failed then thereafter. It was so important for Christians to take back these Holy Lands, and it was such a huge value to families who were Christian at this particular time period. They even, believe it or not, had a crusade known as the Children's Crusade, where literally children, young adults, I'm talking your age and even younger, would travel on these crusades with little weapons, with little training, in hopes of taking back the Holy Land. As sad as that may sound, it did not turn out very well. Lots of children died in that crusade, and you might ask yourself, why would a parent ever send their kid on such a crusade or such an act? Well, they thought it was God's will. These children believed that this was the will of God, and that they were doing something for the religion, and should they die, heaven was waiting for them, right? So they had really, and it really goes into show you just how strong people's beliefs were about Christianity. So what you're going to be doing in this particular section is you're going to be reading and learning about the first 3 crusades and filling out some history frames to show that you understand the basic ideas of what happened during those crusades. So again, this is the late Middle Ages, the Crusades, an attempt by Christians to take back the Holy Lands in and around Jerusalem.